All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting, this third quarter meeting in 2020 of the Fort Worth League of Neighborhood Associations. I am Tony Perez, president, and we do have some things to go over tonight. So for those of you who are watching this as a recording, we are sorry you couldn't make it with us, but we hope you do get a lot out of the information we will be sharing with you tonight. And this is the online WebEx meeting. To go ahead, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:42 p.m. So I'll get that on there. And let's see, can we have a reading of the previous quarterly minute? Yeah, we really didn't have a formal meeting per se at the for second quarter, but we did have a presentation. Gene, do you have anything you'd like to read or share from that last meeting? Your microphone's muted.
I didn't get a chance to rebuild everything.
Okay. We missed part of what you were saying because you were muted, so I ended up unmuting you. So, okay. So that's okay.
I'm on the phone, so I don't think my computer audio is working. Anyway, the quarterly meeting was postponed from June 4th to June 25th. The meeting was called to order at 6:49 by Tony Perez, president of FWLNA. The League's newest board member, Reverend Michael Moore, had planned and organized a program entitled it Racial Reconciliation. The program's agenda included special guests, Mr. Luther Perry and Reverend Kev Tatum. Reverend Moore said that our city and our country is in the middle of a perfect storm with pandemic, systemic racial injustice, and recent police killings of Black citizens. Reverend Moore introduced Luther Perry, who had served 26 years in the Fort Worth Police Department, much of the time under Chief Tom Wyndham. During his time in service, the Fort Worth Police Department's emphasized partnering with communities of color to reduce gang violence. They instituted Ministers Against Crime, got comments and suggestions from the community to manage crime from a neighborhood perspective. He said Fort Worth was one of the best cities in the U.S. back then. We instituted neighborhood police officers and bike patrols, and it seemed like things have recently died away a little bit. Citizens are less involved, and it's kind of disappointing. He had several areas of concentration he thought we should look into, decide what to do about CCPD. He said that was a bad investment for the Black community. In-depth race and culture training with local instruction, and hire more officers of color. This goes on a good bit. I've got a nice bulleted list here, but to go on, Reverend Moore introduced Reverend Kev Tatum, a long-time community organizer and activist and religious leader. He began his comments with the observation that people are not listening to each other. And he concentrated on the fact that there's no shared governance in Fort Worth. We've become a minority majority, but it's not reflected in our city council. And he was hoping that redistricting will be a good opportunity to work on this. Reverend Moore then took over and talked about the different perspectives, identifying with the protesters and their perspectives to the end of racial reconciliation. He said it reminded us our country was born out of protest. People were struggling to achieve some measure of equality, and we should do everything for people to be able to breathe the air of equal human dignity. He said we need to eliminate racial markers and brought up the KKK hall. He said that black people shouldn't die in traffic stops. That people needed to be educated a little bit more about Black history. That this was a marathon, not a sprint, and you don't fix things by moving out. So he had a call to advocate, call out racism, support Black businesses, and he said be appropriate, be intentional, be anti-racist. He thought the churches in the neighborhoods need to take a more active role, and that pastors should not be silent. These three speakers were followed by a great deal of participation from the group, including Tony and Steve Epstein, Phil Foss. A lot of people had some great questions, and the answers were pretty involved and in depth. So, in all, it was kind of a fantastic meeting. It was a shame we didn't have a larger audience to share with us. So I'll redo these and get them ready for distribution, Tony. And sorry I lost them, but I did have some pretty good notes. I just need to rebuild the formal minutes.
Well, I appreciate that, Gene. You covered it really well, though, for all that. So, yeah, you refreshed my memory on a lot of that of what was discussed. So, thank you so much, because that's really important. Excuse me, because there are a lot of things that there are a lot of gaps in information. Ignorance breeds a lot of problems, and if we can, I think one of the common threads from the last event was, let's get to know each other better. Let's share information, let's help each other, let's understand each other's problems, because, in a lot of ways we have similar issues, similar problems, but in some other ways we might have some different ones that we can help each other with. So there was always a strong sense of, developing what I call the unified culture in Fort Worth, where we're here together, we're going through this. What hurts one hurts all. We're like a family in some sense, at a certain level. So we can, what hurts one hurts us all. So we can, of course, we should have plenty to celebrate as well, and we can get there. So you're right about Reverend Moore's comment about it being more of a marathon, but we will certainly get there. Thank you, Gene. So on reports of officers, boards, and standing committees, I basically have a quick statement and then a few things that we'll report on what, as far as what we've been working on. 2020 has proven to be a year of great challenges and emotional stress for most of us. For the League, we had to get creative and using technology, which we're using at this moment, to stay connected. Looking forward, we're still working with our member neighborhoods to empower them by helping them express themselves in new ways. The boards worked very hard, and it worked hard earlier this year to establish our plans for 2020. But of course, some of those activities will have to wait because they required a lot of in-person activities. Okay. In the meantime, we have amazing people on our board of directors who are passionate in the work they do for their own area of the city, and they're always willing to respond to requests for input and how to solve a problem. Therefore, I want to make it clear to our member neighborhoods that your board is still here for you, and most of us are willing and able to respond to your request for assistance and to come up with local solutions, or to even communicate with the city. You're not alone in this, and as long as you remember the Fort Worth League and Neighborhood Associations, you will have us to work by your side. That said, some of the things that we're still trying to keep on the forefront, we are, especially as of late, we are still aware of some of the changes that may need to take place in law enforcement, especially training. And that's not only at the academy level, that's for our existing officers as well. Working with City Hall and certainly with minority neighborhoods. And in all neighborhoods, I've been saying this to our local officers, and and their leadership that, we need officers to spend a little bit more time with their feet on the pavement, on the sidewalks, getting to know people. We see some great videos on occasion where an officer might be playing basketball with some kids. Well, it's hard to now, but there are still always opportunities for officers to make time to become more of an integral part of the community, to develop those relationships. And once again, if we can, with better relationships, it can erode the ignorance, impose knowledge over that ignorance, and that makes people less scary. There's less fear out there, more confidence, and with all that, certainly better relationships in the long term. As far as what the league's role is going to be in all that, we're going to encourage our member neighborhoods to become more active in community relations, especially with each other. We're going to be trying to figure out ways that our member neighborhoods can know who each other is, and be able to, at some point, do somewhat of an inventory of some of the strengths that each area has, so that we can share that, because there might be a neighborhood that may be struggling with an issue that another neighborhood's already solved, and we can connect you. We are looking at some point to do perhaps more videos, kind of like what we did at the for the second quarter meeting, because and we can do this even in between our quarterly meetings, because if we can get enough good people together and get enough promotion done, then we could have this as one of our events, since we're not going to be doing the annual event, the annual league event. We can certainly maybe look forward to that sometime this fall. So we do have some people that are keeping that in mind. But also there could always be opportunity for videos that could be informative year round. So we'll look at that. Police use of force, that was something we discussed in the last couple months. How Fort Worth and the police department and residents can exchange information on use of force policies, and include existing and desired resources. And I think that's why Fort Worth's doing pretty well, because we don't have too many people clamoring for defunding the police. The police need the resources, but maybe there can be reprioritization in the funding that they do have. So as long as we're offered that opportunity for input, and that is coming, I think we'll all do better. Short-term rentals is a topic that we talked about recently, and some people might say, well, what's the big deal about that? But in my own community up here in the far north, we had a shooting incident a couple months ago at an Airbnb. Excuse me. And it was a house party that should have never happened, because in our zoning, there shouldn't have been an Airbnb rental, but there was. And apparently somebody came by to do a drive-by shooting, and some return shots were fired. And for better or for worse, the only casualty was a small dog that was trampled. But there were not only young people at this event, but there are residents surrounding this house, and so their children sleeping next door. It could have been a whole lot worse. So in our case, my HOA, I'm on the board of my HOA, and we passed some much stronger regulations over, first of all, we're banning short-term rentals with heavy fines, and we even put some stronger requirements on the landlords who are renting properties anyway, including minimizing how many of our homes can be rented. So rented out. So we're hoping that all this can come together, because the city, like I said, they have an ordinance that says no short-term rentals in A5 zoning, like in our case, but enforcement isn't as strong as it should be. So sometimes it's up to us as in our own neighborhoods to certainly take action in any way we can, and if necessarily, of course, work with our local law enforcement to report these events quicker. And as a result, because we pushed onto Councilman Flores very quickly the next morning about this, and he took immediate action. So I'm hoping that the rest of the council is now aware of how bad this can get if it's not addressed promptly, because it is a safety factor. If we can have a drive-by shooting here, it can happen anywhere in the city. So, we have to take care of that. Let's see, anything else? I don't have anything else at this time, but I do have something I'll bring up a little later. At this point, I'd like to go to Adair, if you have a treasurer's report.
Hey, yeah, I did put together a treasurer's report, but we really didn't have any activity for the month, so I can report the balance if that sounds like a plan with everybody.
That helps. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing.
And then next month next time we get together, I'll have a little bit more. But so our balance is $3,139.48, and we did not have any deposits or disbursements during the month of August.
And let me ask you, or Gene, if you know, do we have any fixed expenses that we will probably be looking forward to in the next 3 months? Any like?
I can't remember when our website monthly expenses is done on a 3-year basis, and I'm pretty sure I can't remember when that comes up. I can probably find it and I'll let Adair know, but that's the only thing that could possibly come up, I believe.
Okay, so it's a 3-year commitment, but it's payable on a monthly term. I mean, on a monthly rotation.
No, it's a monthly. Well, we got a 3-year discount for paying 3 years in advance. So.
Oh, okay.
It was something like $170, so that's not too bad for web hosting for 3 years.
Oh, definitely doable.
I don't think we'll be able to get that. That was an introductory price, so it probably won't be that, but it probably should be in the neighborhood of $300, I would imagine. Adair, what did you say the current balance was?
It is $3,139.48.
Okay.
And we do have an upcoming expense of the PO box. We just got an email on that from Julie, the prior treasurer. So I think that's going to run around $130 for the year.
That's good. Reuse it, and I'll be down to check the mail tomorrow.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been kind of slow lately. When we finally got the key and got down there, and I think in about 6 months had passed, and we only had like 3 pieces of mail. But it's good to have it because there was a check in one of them.
All right.
Oh, by the way, with the credit union, are they set up to accept membership payments through Zelle?
Not that I've been able to find.
Okay. So that's something to keep in mind because in another organization I'm with, we are able to accept membership payments through that system, excuse me, which is nice because that way there's no charge at either end. Neither the payor or the receiver has to pay any extra fees. So when the dues are paid, we get the full amount. So I'd like to see that happen for us. And I don't think we have a PayPal account set up for the league.
Yeah, that's how you can make payments online.
Okay, but that's a 2.9% charge. So it's doable. It's doable because there's lots of ways to pay through PayPal. Zelle, a lot of times you need an account linked to an email address to send to an email address. But I believe, of course, our league email addresses should be connected to the whatever bank account we have. So we'll be looking at some solutions there to facilitate payments. Because sometimes that's it, we can even get a check, but we don't always have the opportunity to go to the mailbox every month, or excuse me, every week. Okay, with that, I'm going to go forward to item 4, unfinished business and general orders. Let's see, the quarterly meeting planning. I'm going to go ahead and task the board with what the theme will be or what the program will be for fourth quarter in December. We have a lot of different things that have been, we're in constant flux, of course. So it's, under a normal year, we could even plan out the entire year, every quarter meeting. But right now priorities are constantly changing. So we'll get that information out as soon as possible, hopefully by the end of the month after the board meeting on the last week of this month. Event committee, well, of course, that was pushed back to 2021. So many things that are unknown. So we're hopeful that by the time we get to this point next year, we should have a much better idea of where we can be, how we can do it. Hopefully, we'll be able to do more things in person, so we can have an actual, significant event where it can be special and celebratory for all of us in the league. Let's see, outreach committee. We could sure use some help with some ideas on how to recruit new member neighborhoods, because it's hard sometimes to get people to agree to meet face to face, and even when you can't meet face to face, you're standing so far apart. It's hard sometimes to break into relationship mode, and start to have that connection with people. Sometimes because they don't, sometimes people can't, they have situations where it's like, well, for my health reasons, I can't, out my front door, or I can't be in a bigger group meeting, which is fine. So if we can come up with some solutions, right now I have this particular WebEx account through my Knights of Columbus group, but they've given me the liberty to utilize it for other sources. So I've used it for the league business. I've used it for my HOA business, activities, as kind of their contribution to the community. And we can certainly use it for helping to recruit member neighborhoods that might be curious about us. Might want to have a Q&A with us to discuss what we do and how we do it. So let's please keep that in mind. Membership committee, same kind of thing. So I think I got them a little mixed up. Outreach committee is more for recruiting and retention, but the membership committee is management and retention. Well, okay, let's see. Membership committee. I didn't get it mixed up. Membership is management and retention. So when we have that, Adair certainly is part of it with the billing and making sure we've got payments coming in and identifying any neighborhood hasn't paid yet, but also retention. Sometimes we haven't heard from a neighborhood, or maybe their delegate has moved away and they haven't assigned a new one. So sometimes we just do outreach to them to say, hey, we're still here. Do you guys want to keep in touch? Is your delegate still with you, or is it time for a new one? So we can work on that. We were going to have a focus on bylaw changes, to look at our bylaws to see if there was any opportunity for change, and the recommendation for any new ones. So we're still open for that. We just had to focus on some other priorities over the last few months. So if there's anybody who may be interested in reviewing our bylaws and coming up with recommendations to either update or review, do any kind of modification to better express something and add some new ones, delete old ones, let us know. All right, new business. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this particular screen because Adair had reminded me of something that came up recently, and I got to pull that document up because I know, okay, that's right. I started in this folder. Or wait, it was a website. So can you guys still hear me? Okay, computer did something weird.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to go there. And thanks for sending me those links, Adair. I was able to pull those right up. So.
Yeah, I figured you already had them, but I just wanted to.
Oh, and it won't let me get into that registration screen because I've already taken the survey. So, all right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, as soon as I can, share this screen. There we go. All right, Fort Worth Police is holding an event at their different divisions. And the theme is, of course, building a stronger community / police relationship together. So through the Office of Police Oversight, the Police Oversight Monitor, there are going to be different conversations throughout the city, because we have several divisions now, especially the New North Division, in my part of town. And here are the dates for the different events. These are discussion events. They're they look like they're going to be online, but still the focus will be because I imagine the oversight monitor is going to be she's going to be observing and participating in each discussion. That's why they're on separate dates, though. So they're still going to be online, but you have the opportunity to register for this and let them know which one you want to be on. I mean, even if you work in a different part of town, you want to participate in that one, there's no problem there. But this is one where this is our opportunity to express our desires, our concerns, our hopes and dreams, things we'd like to see, things we can recommend to improve relationships with our police force, with our protectors. Because we want everybody across the city to look at these folks as our protectors. They're our guardians. They really are. They're not out to get us. So we want to make sure everybody, and we want to make sure they know that there's no, there shouldn't be any citizens out to get them. Okay, so we need to make sure that that this helps build relationships, and with some of the ideas we can provide, hopefully we can establish some groundwork, help establish some groundwork for some better policies and training. So there is the link where you can click and register for this event. If there's anybody who hasn't received this, Adair, maybe we can put together a little email to send out this this PDF and get the word out to our member neighborhoods to please participate. Let's see, and I think there's a second page. Of course, it's in Spanish, which is great. Wish it was in a couple other languages, but at least it gets the word out. Okay. And what's funny is that even though the link is on both pages, the link it takes you to a page that's only in English. So I'll have to talk to them about realizing that. So I've already registered for North Division. I'll be part of that. But certainly, since each of us will probably have something to say about our part of town, you're welcome to go ahead and connect there and, excuse me, participate in that particular event. Okay, back to the agenda. All right, going back down here. So program, we really don't have one this time, only because we I've checked in with several of our board members and other people. There's so much going on. There's a big COVID response. Back to school is happening, and which is in a constant state of flux and changes and revisions. We still have one at home, and we love them, and we're glad to have done everything we did for them. But we're glad that the other two graduated last May. Otherwise, we'd have three that we'd be juggling in their requirements in different ways. And then, of course, a lot of our leaders are leaders in their community and their neighborhood. So they've been very busy. So we didn't get response from enough of them. So we are going to kind of leave things open for discussion right now. So I'd like to make this time to open it up to anybody who'd like to make any comments or bring up anything they'd like to discuss. And I'm seeing some messages come in. I need to get that particular screen up for chat. Let me see. So I apologize for not having seen that sooner. Okay. Let's see, from Catherine, it says, Bon had a death on our board. Rita wrote this: it is with great sadness we report that Rosalind Wiley, age 59, was found dead on the floor of her home Friday, August 28th. Barbara Childs had talked with her 3 days earlier on Tuesday. There was no indication of a serious illness, but she had had some breathing issues. After Tuesday, Barbara could not reach her by phone, so on Friday she called for a wellness check. Rosalind lived on Ridge Oak Street in the Oak Hill Estate subdivision of the Bon area since 1997. She served as an officer in the Bon Association for 12 years, 7 years as treasurer, and 5 years as vice president for beautification, which was her most recent service, 2015 to present. As such, she originated Bon's annual participation in Fort Worth's Great American Cleanup. The funeral service was Friday, September 4th at 11 a.m. So thank you very much for sharing that, Catherine. I did not expect that. So if that ever happens again, please let us know as soon as possible so we can take appropriate action. So thank you for sharing. Is there anybody else that's on right now whose audio system's working who'd like to bring up anything for discussion at this time?
Am I working?
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh, I had my volume turned off because my dog was barking like crazy. Have any of you, and I see a black box moving around, have we looked at anything for Citizens for Independent Redistricting since they spoke to us last year?
I haven't. Gene, have you seen anything come in?
No, I haven't.
All right, because let me change channels here and I will put this in the chat box. Here's the link of the website I'm working on. If it'll paste, there we go.
Okay, I can
So
upload
everybody
it.
can go look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share that. Let's see. Come on, computer, do your thing. Okay, sharing that web page. That's it.
Yay!
Thank you.
So they just sent me a video they posted, and Byrick Ellison is the one narrating it. So if you roll down just a little bit,
Ah,
there you go.
okay.
So, and I got a paragraph I'm supposed to drop in ahead of this, but if you hit the play button, you can at least hopefully hear it.
We'll play a little bit of it, see what happens.
Yeah, but it's there, and I just want everybody to see what they've got going on.
Can you hear that, everybody?
No.
Okay, I'm hearing it at my end, so
The website looks really good. Nice work.
okay. So I'm going to stop playing that right now, but I'm definitely going to view it after this meeting. Because, yeah, I mean, for example, in my district, District 2, it runs from the Stockyards area to the far north area up to almost, pretty much at 287. And it's an extremely long district, and we are stuck sometimes between, and thanks to Carlos Flores, for working with me and some of the other neighborhood leaders up here on bringing some more attention to our area. But typically we were cut off at 820. And not a lot before he was elected in was happening in our part of town. Before that, I mean, Dennis Shingleton's doing a great job, no question. Yeah, his district is just north of us on the other side of 287. But District 2 was hurting for a while. Only because we got really loud did we get more and more attention. Now, with adding a couple new districts, we're going to have more focus in more parts of town. And this is definitely our time to be vocal about how we want things drawn properly so that we don't have that kind of fragmentation even within a district. So I really appreciate that. Well, let's include this with the other email about the police gathering. So thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome. And then I just texted my same question so you have it in writing. Does the league have any resources that could help keep the East Side Y, which is one of the few places on this side of town with a swimming pool, from being sold to developers? They're pretty much shut down totally because of COVID. And I got a call via connections to get the word out. What can they do, and how can we approach city council and say that an organization that serves children such as the YMCA in a highly financially disadvantaged neighborhood is a community resource that's crime prevention, proper youth direction, because the guy was just about in tears. I mean, he's so passionate about the Y, and he's afraid Carrie Moon, who's our city council rep, is gonna snatch it out from underneath him and turn it into some, wedding venue or something. So
Wow.
What have we got? What can we do? What kind of weight?
Marty, I think Marty's got
Yeah.
something to share with us.
I do. Thanks, Tony. Kat, on the East Side Alliance neighborhood meeting, this has been brought up by a gentleman named Alex Jimenez, and he has some information that there is an interested party on this looking to do a sports complex. And Judy Taylor and I spoke about this last week because she had also spoken to Alex. So anyway, that meeting was the one Linda Fulmer hosted in August, and so there are people that are interested in the property with different agendas, and this one that is the possible youth sports complex, we are very interested in. Excuse me just a moment here. Let me take that.
Is that
Thank
a
you,
tea
Jim.
kettle?
That was a tea kettle. I bet you could have recognized that, right, if we had to guess that sound. So I do think that you are not alone with this, that there are that the East Side leadership that brought it to my awareness are very interested in ensuring that the East Side YMCA continue to be a resource for the community. So apparently, my understanding is there were 3 interested parties, one being the youth sports complex, the second being a school, some sort of charter, I don't recall the name exactly, but that was highly regarded. And then the third was a housing developer. I believe it is Fort Worth Housing Solutions. And so, the conversation that I was part of was very much in alignment with the concerns that you have, and the intent of that relationship would be that the YMCA would then continue to provide services out of this sports complex. So Dan Haas was also aware of this, if he is a resource that you're familiar with. But that's kind of a little bit of what I'm understanding. I have not had more than just really the one conversation on it, but appreciate you making it, bringing it to the attention here tonight.
Because I do a lot of their promo work over at Hanley Quick Copy since they're just down the street and around the corner, and I know that the apartment complexes in the neighborhood, mamas don't let their kids swim there because there's no lifeguard, and the Y has always got a lifeguard, so mamas feel safer. This youth sports complex is a private entity, or is it part of the Police Athletic League?
No, this is a private entity, and it's someone who has had this vision apparently for some time and was looking and had the vision for East Fort Worth. And I want to say he's a doctor. Judy Taylor recognized this name, and but that he is someone that sees the location as being very advantageous, the size of the property itself, and the ability to impact the neighborhood in a positive way. So it seemed like a real kind of no-brainer for Judy and I, that yeah, this sounds great. Tell us more. But that was as far as I know. But apparently this isn't somebody that just thought of this because of the why. It's somebody who's had this vision and has spoken of it before. And a gentleman named Alex Jimenez seems very familiar with it and was excited about the potential.
Okay.
Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, Judy's
Give you a few
usually
there.
Yeah, Judy's usually in to see me at least once a month, and because they're not even printing their little Hanley newsletter,
I know.
I haven't seen her in 2 months.
No, she's not getting out much, and
Well,
she
I don't
does
blame
not
her.
want to do virtual meetings. So I've brought it up a couple of times, but she said the officers have agreed that the HNA is not going to get into this virtual meeting arena.
I don't know if any of my people will either.
That's precisely her point. So.
Well, hopefully there'll be some venues out there where people can get together. Like in our pool area, we can be spread out enough, and we have a PA system that we can have discussions like this with a wireless mic that somebody can just hold close to somebody while they speak. So there's a few solutions out there to still be able to see each other, because sometimes, especially when it's a situation like this, you do want to have that personal touch that you're not going to get from this kind of format. Okay. Anything else, Kat?
No, I think that was, I just didn't want anything we can do to motivate so that the Y doesn't go under.
Agreed. Agreed.
And I'll talk to Judy tomorrow because I didn't know I get locked at my office, so I don't get out. So I don't see the real world anymore. It's a mile from my house to work. So that's my tunnel vision, my whole street and around the corner, which is good. I love it.
Unlike my wife's commute, which is downstairs to upstairs. Yeah, it's even worse. She thirsts for times when she could drive. So yeah, it's 2-3 times a week for grocery shopping and a couple other things. So yeah, so that's why we have each other. We can share what's out there and find ways to get the information we need. So thank you, Marty, for that contribution.
Thank you.
Let's go back to this. Okay. Do we have anything else we'd like to bring up? We have the census, of course, is still important, still going on. We even have a gentleman in my own neighborhood that's been hired by the census to hit all the residents here who hadn't responded. It's extremely important. We do need to make sure everybody is represented in the census because there are lots of resources, not just on the federal level. The state and the city also uses this data to go ahead and let us know what's coming up. Let's see. And I'm still getting chat messages. So fourth quarter meeting date. Yeah, that's coming up. It's general membership meeting. Oh, and that was wrong. It should be December. And thank you for catching that. Because it is it was the right day, correct day, but just not the right month. So thank you for that, Kat. Okay, neighborhood relationships are always important. Keep in touch with each other. If there's any neighborhood who needs some assistance, please, let us know. Okay, anything else? Last opportunity, Jean, Adair, anything else you'd like to bring up at this time?
I don't have anything, Tony. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so announcements are at this point. We do have our next board of directors meeting, which will happen at the end of this month, September 21st at 6:30, and that's for the board of directors. But certainly, if we have any other member or delegates who'd like to attend, you're welcome. It'll be.
One thing, Tony.
Go ahead, Gene.
One other thing, Tony, is the nominating committee needs to be formed sometime in the not too distant future. So need to give that some consideration and probably need to come up with a interim secretary pretty soon.
Oh, that's true. Well, can you hang in there till the end of the year?
Well, I don't know how legitimate it is, but I'll think about it.
Okay, fair enough. We'll discuss it in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And yes, and thanks to Kat making sure we're accurate. I appreciate that. December 3rd, Thursday, December 3rd will be our next general membership meeting. And we're always monitoring, just in case, the church opens up again, we'll be there, with bells on and cookies ready to go. But for now, our fallback's still going to be online. So with that, and with no further ado, I'd like to say thank you for those who were able to attend. And remember, if you're watching this on video, afterwards, please keep in touch with us. If there's anything we can do, you pay dues for a reason, but we also exist for a reason. It's not always just about the dues. If there's anything we can do to help any neighborhood, we're here for you. It's just that our member neighborhoods get information a lot quicker. We tend to respond a little quicker because they are our member neighborhoods. But still, if you have an issue that we could possibly help you with, let us know. And if there's ever anything you want to contribute, we're here. So thanks for everybody for being here with us tonight. And we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 7:26 p.m. Thank you very much. And everybody, you have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Good night. Thanks.
All right.
Good night.